Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, we know that Shakur Stevenson has been going back and forth with Floyd Schofield and his father, and now there's potential of him fighting Floyd Schofield in the event that Williams Zepeda does not entertain a fight with Shakur Stevenson. And so, it's an interesting fight. It's one that I would accept. I have no problem with Shakur Stevenson taking this fight. However, I do know this. If Gervonta Davis was announcing that his next fight was Floyd Schofield, we would hear all the criticism associated with Gervonta Davis not fighting the elite at 135 pounds, saying this, that, and the third. Although I would also argue that Shakur Stevenson has not fought elite level competition. And regardless of the titles, I've mentioned this in the past, Jay, titles only mean that you were associated with the correct promoter and you still have to do the eye test. Now, we got friend of the show, Antonio Tarver. I've had the opportunity to at least interact with Antonio Tarver a couple of times. Haven't had the opportunity to have him on the show, though, but I want to get him on soon. Made a comment in regards to Floyd Schofield and Shakur Stevenson. And Shakur reacted in a way, Jason, that I just do not understand as far as I'm concerned. It made no sense to me, his response. And I do want to break it down because, number one, it highlights something that's key that, I just really articulate is that Shakur Stevenson is allowed to get away with these types of things. And I'm going to highlight this in his comment in response. But then the fact that he doesn't necessarily interpret certain things correctly in regards to what people are saying about him. And he's very sensitive. So let's bring this up, Jay, because I want to bring up the actual tweet. And I got it up here in front of me. This guy posted something that Antonio Tarver said, and I believe I'm assuming this is from his Instagram. But Antonio Tarver says, I think a Shakur fight is a great matchup at this time. He's talking about Shakur versus Schofield. If Shakur handles a miniature tank, he should be ready for the full tank. And with kid style, it'll give us a look into #Davis Stevenson. Now, I disagree. I do not necessarily believe that Floyd Schofield is a miniature tank, but I understand what it is that he's doing. Sometimes fighters have key elements that could mimic some of the elements of another fighter that can give you insight to what a fight might look like. And that's what a lot of people do that, right? And Antonio Tarver, having a background as being a boxing analyst and also giving Tarver takes, that's all he's doing here. So this is what Shakur Stevenson responded with, Jay. What type of ish is he smoking? This ninja comparing the little kids to the elites. Elites with an S, meaning he's including himself. Can't compare mediocre skills to elite level skills. And just because you got muscles don't mean you got power. So the last part, totally agree with. But here's what doesn't make sense to me. First and foremost, you're sitting up here talking about this guy has mediocre skills, yet you have already conceded that you are willing to fight him next in the event that the Williams Zepeda fight does not come to fruition. So that goes right back to my original point. Shakur is allowed to get away with these types of things, admitting that this kid has quote unquote mediocre skills, yet you're going right after him. And his fan base are going to be perfectly okay with that. Number two, exactly. Number two, and more importantly, his level of ability to interpret what people are saying is low, or he's just simply emotional and responds to things without actually thinking it through. He's not saying he has the same level of power. He's not saying that he has elite level skills. He's not comparing the skill level of Floyd Schofield to either Gervonta Davis or Shakur Stevenson. All he's saying is that he has certain elements that could possibly mimic some of the skills that Tank could bring to a fight. That's all he's saying. So this is where he goes wrong with me, where it's like you have to point these things out. And I particularly like to point these things out in regards to certain fan bases because they are so delusional as it relates to some of their favorite fighters, Jay. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think he went off the rails on it for no reason, and he's constantly calling himself great, elite, and all that stuff there. I'm like, dude, just show it in the ring. The true elites and the greats, they're not the ones that's just out there just beating their chest trying to say it over and over again. Other people are saying it because they're proving it in the ring. He has yet to do that at 135. He's looked ordinary at 135. against De Los Santos where he ran. He literally ran that fight. Against Artem, Artem's strong. He's strong. He won't go for the killer instinct. Although Bud said it. Roy said it. I mean, not Roy, but Andre Ward said it. Everyone said, go after him. His trainer said, go after him. And he wouldn't do it. So I wouldn't, that's not elite level type stuff to me. I think Shakur can fight, though. He's a heck of a fighter, but he needs to prove in the ring even more. But to your point, he gets away with stuff like this. Tank cannot. Tank was about to fight Lamont Roach because the initial fight with Loma got postponed because of Loma backing out of it. But this is all on Tank now. Shakur hurt his hand. No one was available for Tank at the time. But this right here is just, I don't agree with Tarver saying him fighting Schofield is going to give him a look at a possible fighting Tank. They fight nothing alike. Schofield reminds me of like a Sean Porter 2.0 with less skill currently right now. He's still young, so he can develop more skill, but that's what Schofield reminds me of. So I don't know if it necessarily show us what he might have to fight Tank at all, except for power that Schofield has, but he doesn't have the same type of skill. So I agree with Shakur saying they're not on the same skill level, but Tarver wasn't saying that. Tarver wasn't saying that Schofield has the same skills as either one. He just said it'll be a good comparison fight possibly for him fighting Tank. That's all Tarver was saying. And then Shakur just got Twitterson on him.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, I think, and I don't want to use that, I'm not going to use that term, but he does get emotional. And I think that's a part of like this newer generation where they get extremely emotional about things. Criticism does not necessarily warrant you becoming emotional. People are going to criticize you. It is what it is. And in this particular case, I don't think he was criticizing him. All he was saying was that it was the right fight. In my personal opinion, he was actually defending Shakur Stevenson because, honestly, this move could be criticized. If you really wanted to, you could criticize Shakur Stevenson's last few opponents. Artem, coming off of a loss against Frank Martin. De Los Santos. Exactly. De Los Santos coming off of he wasn't coming off a loss, but I mean, at the end of the day, Shakur Stevenson was running from him. So that performance didn't look good. Shakur has titles in a number of different weight classes for sure. But I mean, were we really that high on any of those guys that Shakur beat? I mean, so like there's a number of things that you can criticize Shakur Stevenson for, specifically if he's going to go into a fight like this with Floyd Schofield, where he's already admitted that he would take the fight next in case Williams Zepeda doesn't fall through. So, I mean, Tarver's actually defending you because he's giving you an excuse. This is preparing me for a Gervonta Davis fight that we know that you're not actually interested in taking right now. So I mean,
that with Joe Cordina.
Exactly. So, I just don't like the response from Shakur. Hell of a fighter. And when he and Tank get into the ring with each other, it's going to be an amazing fight. I don't think Shakur is afraid of Tank. I don't think Tank is afraid of Shakur. I just think the business of boxing happens, and I think that's part of the reason why Shakur isn't interested in going into a fight with Gervonta Davis currently, and I've said that multiple times.
100%.
So,
especially if you said that fight ain't happening.
Facts. You guys tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to this particular topic. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, and we are out.